Either you go home at 3-0 sometimes, but sometimes we play for seeding, you go home at 3-2 or 5-0, whatever. And then we get into the last 16 the next day, so you get refresh, you can have some brekkie in the morning, you're all sorted. However, this is going to be a tough task for both of them, though, a scenario that neither of them are really going to be used to.
Well, here we go then. It's time for the round of 16 to kick off. Winner goes through. And of course, the loser will be going home. F2 Tex taking on Rebel Stokes, an all-English affair here in Singapore. Obviously, Tex being the favourite going into the tournament at the moment, but Stokes certainly someone who has had the better of him in tournament play in FIFA 19. But the first attack of the game is with Tex. A little heavy touch around the corner here. Neymar with the drag back, and might be a chance early on. It's rolling across the goal line. But Stokes survives there, but a big scare coming in from Tex at the start of this game.
And that's what he does at the start of games. He intimidates you with the ability he has inside the box. It doesn't matter whether it's dragbacks, cricketers, anything he can do to try and beat that first man, to try and show you what he's made of. He's already started the mind games, has Tex, and that is going to be a concern for Stokes. Stokes, of course, on the back of a somewhat disappointing E-Premier League tournament at Manchester United. He was hoping to be the representative there. Unfortunately, he fell short in that tournament. So this is a big one for him. Try and secure some Global Series ranking points, get himself closer to guaranteeing himself a playoff spot.
Well, here comes Tex against it again then. The first attack that Stokes really had, he unfortunately just rushed the pass and his player got caught offside, which gave the ball back to Tex. And now R9's bursting around the outside of Marcelo. He loves using that fake shot just to get that tiny little sprint boost, and a bit of space here for Ronaldo. Gets it onto his right foot, forces their save here from De Gea. This has been a hot start coming out from Tex. And now he has a corner.
Always switches to R9, so Neymar gets it front post. Can go for the El Tornado if he wants. He's doing it every single time, Mark, and it's so difficult to defend against. But thankfully, Stokes gets away with it this time.
Stokes then from the corner on the counter-attack, and look at the acres of space that Cristiano Ronaldo has now on this left-hand side. Finally, some players for Tex have managed to get back into some kind of defensive position. Neymar, space inside the box. What a tackle that was from his favourite centre-back, Rio Ferdinand. Doesn't matter how many players you put in the game, Tex is going to stick with Ferdinand until proven otherwise. You can see exactly why there.
Unfortunate not to get away and break away with R9 there, trying to use that advanced fake shot, which Tex does so often, both on the right and left-hand side. It's so difficult to defend against with just that little bit of extra movement you get from hitting the advanced fake shot.
Hill to Hill from Mbappe, gets cut out there by Ferdinand. Will be a corner here to Stokes. Or to Tex, excuse me.
Switch to R9.
Defended by Stokes.
Oh, it's Marcelo. So he knows which players he needs to switch to try and get one of his 5-star skillers to come short for it.
Might mix this one up here. He looks like he's controlling manually Cristiano Ronaldo. He makes that run in towards the front post. Well, it was there as well, trying to get in on the action. Tex already shown from the set piece. He's got a couple of different tricks up his sleeve.
And that's what he always does. It doesn't matter in what form he's attacking, whether it be set pieces, whether it be from natural play. He always just offers something a little bit different. He's unpredictable to his opponent.
Well, here's R9 then on his right foot. Obviously 5-star weak foot. Doesn't matter what way he goes. Marcelo gets a foot on it. Ronaldo challenging Ramos. Stokes has defended this well, though. To be honest with you, he hasn't been fooled by any of the trickery that's come out of Tex so far. This is the first time we're really going to see him going forward on the attack. Neymar, that's a beautiful ball inside. Tries to loft that ball over the top.
But it's all well and good defending well, but if he is going to be put under constant pressure by Tex, eventually it's going to crack.
Here's Mbappe then, using that pace to get away, and there is that fake shot. Mbappe tries to poke it across goal, but again, Stokes defending well.
But he just has to get something on the counter-attack. If he is going to be sitting back, if he's going to be defending, if he's going to just be under the cosh all game, it's what he can do at the other end of the pitch. He needs a little bit of speed and string some passes together.
There's a ball for Neymar. Neymar with a fake shot. Drag back, goes for the shot back across goal. Pele now onto his left. Didn't time it perfectly. De Gea, though, forced into a save. And now Stokes has a corner.
Unfortunately, just cut out there, Tex. Very wise to what Stokes was going to try and play it short there, and just red shirt swarming that first player. So Stokes needs to be a little bit aware that maybe he needs to get a bit more creative from his set pieces. They are phenomenal chances, and you don't want to give them up too much in a game.
Tex recycles possession here, back to Hullet then in midfield. Cristiano Ronaldo finds Vieira, and he takes it first time, forces another shot here from De Gea. Well, that's going to be one more set piece here to Tex. Will he go short? He does so. Neymar now. Is he going to look for that El Tornado, or is he going to try and attack the 18-yard box? Vieira. Ball round to Ronaldo now. Big chance. Doesn't take it. And Stokes immediately spreads the ball wide here to Mbappe.
And it's just chance after chance for Tex at the moment. And he's just searching for a way to break down Stokes' defence. He's not going for anything that is too predictable. He's trying something different every time, which means that he is so difficult for read for Stokes.
Here's R9 then, a couple of step overs just to try and fool the fullback here. Vieira into Mbappe. Tex is so dangerous in and around these areas. He gets dropped in the box, and that's how dangerous he is. The little half drag back inside the box. Ramos commits the foul. And this, without doubt, is the biggest chance of the game so far. Ronaldo steps up here for Tex. Buries it, bottom left. Tex in the lead.
I mean, buries it. I don't know if we can actually say buries it. Someone just guided it into the sand, just patted it in the end. Keeper just looked at the ball going past him, but it's where Stokes hasn't dived. He's just stayed central. But that's all Tex needed to do, and that's why he is so scary and so threatening in the box, because if you are going to dive in with a manual tackle, there's always going to be that risk of giving away a penalty. And that is the perfect way for Tex to open up this game, and now it'll open up Stokes' play a little bit, which will naturally give Tex more chances going forward.
Great start here for Tex in the round of 16. Hullet, though, looking to answer back immediately. Big chance for Mbappe. Varane managed to close down the space on his fellow countryman there just as he was about to pull the trigger there for Stokes. Now Hullet down this left-hand side. Mbappe. All around the corner now to Neymar. And again, looking to use that fake shot just to burst round the outside of his man.
And look at the possession. 66% possession for Tex at the moment, taking full advantage of it too.
R9 gets tackled there by Vieira, but illegally, according to the referee. And maybe another chance just on the stroke of half-time here. Neymar runs over this one. Hullet lines up. Doesn't time it. The defender got out to it to get the block, but Tex again with another corner. Neymar then, sloppy touch from him, and here's the counter-attack, and Ronaldo is just sprinting away, and there's lots of space on this right-hand side for him.
But Tex has done well defending in these situations with the majority. He's usually shoved the player off the ball, and he's done so again. Very resilient, Tex. Even if he's slightly behind the attacking player with his defender, he'll make sure he keeps tracking back. He feels like he can just pull them a little bit. He doesn't switch off that player too quickly. He trusts his defenders. He trusts his team, and I think that is key to him. He plays with the same players every tournament.
Great ball over to R9 here from Vieira. There's a big chance, and he takes it. 2-0 to Tex. Right at the end of the half, in time added on, he doubles his lead. And I love how he just waited for that run of Ronaldo. The timing of the ball over the top, the pass inside, and the finish. Just classic Tex.
And Stokes probably thought that was the end of the half after his final attack, but Tex just went streaming forward. Sometimes in those situations, we'll see players maybe play a pass backwards and then the whistle is blown. But Tex knew full well what the timer was saying. He knew he had to keep going forward, and he's rewarded. And now with a 2-goal cushion going into the end of this first half of the first leg, it has been all Tex in terms of possession. Stokes has looked somewhat threatening on the counter-attack, but maybe not offering as much as we know he can offer in those scenarios.
Yeah, a little bit of a shake of the head there from Stokes after that second goal went in. I don't know if it was more frustration that maybe he lost concentration or wasn't happy with how his goalkeeper reacted to that situation. Wasn't the most dangerous of shots from Tex. Another day you might have seen De Gea stick a leg out and maybe do a little bit more with that, but
those are the shots that go in, the low-driven, the timed green. And they're not easy to do. I mean, you won't see your average player being able to do it as consistently as Tex does, especially in a situation where you've already played 5 rounds of FIFA already today and you're jet-lagged. It's definitely not easy for these players here in Singapore, especially 2 players from the UK.
Well, here's Cristiano Ronaldo again inside the 18-yard box, and you always feel like something's going to happen. As soon as Tex gets sort of around 20 yards, just outside the 18-yard box, there's danger, but when he gets inside it, it becomes even more difficult of a task to defend, just because you know that one mistimed tackle is going to give away a penalty like we've already seen.
It's like when you're watching a horror film and you know there's going to be that jump scare at any point and you're kind of just waiting and you're hesitating and you know there's just going to be that one moment, and that's what Tex does to you. He just suddenly, he will scare you just when you think you're comfortable.
His Neymar then, Cricketta pass one. Great ball, looks for the driven ball in, but Kyle Walker in position to cut that one out. Now, can Stokes find something here at the start of the second half to give himself a little way back into this game, a little bit of belief?
Because this is often where Stokes does fall.
Oh, Tex! Again, he's just deadly in front of goal today.
It's a jump scare. Stokes was comfortable. He thought he was fine, and then bam, someone's punched a hole through the door. It's terrifying what Tex can do. I was just about to say, Stokes, he's fallen at this stage of the competition several times already this season. Last 16 is about as far as he gets. And yeah, okay, he's still going to be achieving a decent amount of global series ranking points. We probably will see him at playoffs because he's qualifying for all these tournaments. But he does have that potential to get that little bit further.
Really has been impressive so far what we have seen from Tex. Just momentarily lost our picture here in the commentary booth. We'll try and keep you up to date as soon as we can, but here we go, we're back in the game now. Makes it much easier to commentate.
I was just going to start yelling PGL several times because that's all I could see on the screen, but 3-0 now for Tex in the first leg. And the thing is, the last time we saw Tex was, of course, in his 4th round game when he was at 3-0, and he was down 3-1 after the first leg, and then we saw him come to life. It's about how far he can go now when he's starting to score goal after goal. Is it going to be an absolute demolishing? Is it going to add to all of his statistics? Or are we going to see this Tex who holds on to the ball, who starts playing that possession and starts closing games out to try and secure himself into the quarterfinals of the Xbox?
And the thing for me, Dan, is how often do we say that's a big chance for Tex that he's missed as he's in now with CR7? There was that chance. Ball falls back to Neymar now, and almost recycles the ball, and there it is. Somehow, Tex bundles the ball home. It's a little bit lucky with the rebound, but having been represented with that chance, he puts it away.
It's fortunate, but at the same time, it's Tex's reaction to the situation. He takes that first shot with Ronaldo, and a lot of people, when that ball floats back to Ronaldo, will just naturally hammer shoot and say, oh, we're going to shoot because the keeper's off. He doesn't. He crosses it back into the middle, takes another shot. It goes back to Neymar. He's straight away taking more shots. He knows what he wants to do with the ball. He knows whether he needs to pass it or not. And he'll take that little bit of fortune. But fortune favors the brave. He puts himself in that scenario. He's getting those chances because he's dominating the possession and he's dominating going forward. And Stokes is struggling here. But there is always still that chance that maybe he can get back into things. Maybe suddenly Tex takes his eye off the ball here. But it doesn't happen very often.
There is a second leg here to come for Stokes. Maybe just to compose himself and have a think about what he can change up in this game, because he's down by 4 now. Thierry Henry, prime icon moments card on the pitch now, and he's straight into the action, and he's gonna hit the post. That's a huge chance there for Stokes. Didn't time it well, dragged it across goal, and unfortunately for him, Thierry Henry, fresh on the pitch, just couldn't make the difference.
And that's such a shame for Stokes as well, but you're completely right, didn't time it green. I mean, he's going to feel like he shouldn't have to when Tex had moved his keeper and when it seemed like an open goal, but maybe Thierry Henry slightly off balance there and it's not struck it well. And ultimately, Tex will keep this clean sheet and keep the 4-goal advantage. And most importantly, at the moment, will stay undefeated. He was very proud of the fact that he's the only player who's gone undefeated in 2 tournaments. Could we, dare I say it, see 3 tournaments undefeated and a 3rd tournament win in a row for Tex?
Well, this is a great little bit of play here. And Henry drives it across. Sergio Ramos, a combination of the two. And Henry, having got there, having slid in and got his shot away, couldn't find the back of the net.
I mean, before he was Rebel Stokes, he was Bundled Stokes because he used to bundle them in. Of course, now recently representing Rebel, a fantastic signing for them, I've got to say. I think Stokes is one of these players to watch for the future. It's a tough draw for him getting Tex in the round of 16, but that's what happens when you manage to scrape through the Swiss. Did lose a game on penalties. I think it was against Impact in his first round of Swiss he lost on penalties. If he had won that, and suddenly he's 4-1 in Swiss, and then he wouldn't face the likes of Tex early on. So it's very fine margins sometimes between finishing round of 16 or even quarterfinals, semi-finals. Sometimes very fine margins just between finishing in Swiss and getting to those knockout stages.
Well, those fine margins turn into Global Series ranking points as well.
Yeah,
you know, every single round that goes past is a bump up in those points, and that's what the guys are looking at every single time they're at a tournament is how many points can I get on the board? How many places can I jump up those leaderboards and get closer to securing myself qualification towards the E-World Cup final? One man who's looked dominant at the top of that leaderboard on the Xbox is looking dominant in this game as well, and that is, of course, F2's Tex. 83 minutes gone in game now. 4-0 up here, but if Stokes can find a goal towards the end of this game, just give himself that mental reset. 3 goals is something that we have seen players come back from in the past.
Oh, but it's 4 he's got to come back from, unfortunately, which is just...
I said if he could get one goal at the end of this game, Dan, please listen.
So, well, yeah, I try.
Here's Marcelo then. Could be more difficult, though, if Tex finds another goal, and he finds it in the most precise way possible. Ronaldo finds the top corner. And just as we're trying to write a narrative for Stokes to have some sort of hope, Tex again just asserts his dominance on all of the competitors that he plays. And now, I don't see anyone beating Tex if he's playing like this.
The main issue is when you're behind against Tex, you start to use manual defending to try and win the ball back higher up the pitch, and that's just going to play into Tex's hands. Because as soon as Tex sees that little cursor above one of the players' heads, he's going to start to whip out all the skill moves. It doesn't matter if it's advanced fake shots or if it's cricketters or whatnot. He's going to use everything in his power to beat that man, and he does it so comfortably.
Now there's going to be spaces in behind for Stokes as he has to commit forward and try desperately to get the ball back, but that is an emphatic statement from F2 Tex in the first leg here of our round of 16. We're now going to move across to catch up with the action happening with Tuga versus NYC Chris. And you can see here that Tuga had a fantastic performance in Atlanta, of course, very recently. He's looking pretty good here, 2-1 up against Chris, and Chris has been sort of the nearly man in these round of 16s. A few times now, gets through Swiss quite consistently, but can't quite find those big performances when it matters.
Yeah, and you're going to struggle against the current PS4 champion, as it were, in Tuga from Atlanta.
Chance!
But, well, that's what Chris can offer. When you least expect it, he comes out of nowhere. And those are the goals he needs to put away. As you said, there's been so many nearly tournaments for him, Mark. And NYC Chris, again, one of those players I think we will see at the playoffs. We could see it at E-World Cup finals. But these are the tournaments where he needs to show up. These are the games where he needs to manage to secure the wins and get those Global Series ranking points. He's 10th at the moment on the PS4 side of things. And we've seen how you can leap with one good tournament. Tuga did it already. So that maybe this is a chance for Chris. And you've got to remember, the North American players, I mean, that is quite a change in terms of time zones for them. Even worse than the Europeans.
It's very, very true. And Chris is one of these players who I just see getting better and better again as the season is going on. He seems to be more confident in his own game. And he is starting to find these results. And maybe Singapore's going to be kind to him. Maybe he can find his way a little bit deeper into the bracket. And with every round that goes past, I remember speaking to him in London, he was saying sometimes he beats himself. It's more of a mental game for him than it is a technical game and a mechanical game at times. So keep an eye on that player cam, especially when Chris goes behind. Can he keep his composure and keep his head in these tight situations here? As now he's coming forward with Marcelo.
And I can't stress enough, Mark, how important it is to manage to claw that goal back for Chris. Because Tuga is one of these players, when he gets a goal advantage, he will sit on it. He does play a very defensive style. He will get 10 men, sometimes 11 men behind the ball and really frustrate his opponent. So the fact that Chris has managed to open up this game by getting that goal back is going to be so important for him.
What a save from De Gea.
Wow, that's massive.
Chris again looking for that cross. He's going to whip it in again, and he gets there!
Oh
Finds a crossbar! And you can see there, Chris showing a little bit of frustration there. Thought he'd done enough to beat the goalkeeper and give himself that lead. But after De Gea made the initial save, the crossbar is what denies New York City Chris. And now Pele up the other end for Tuga. Ronaldo can't beat his man. Well defended there by Chris, and ooh, a little bit of risk involved there, but finally he'll get the ball here. De Gea picks it up gleefully with both hands and spreads it right out now to Ramos.
You can see this first leg ending at 2-2 if Tuga is just going to be a little bit defensive and nothing's going to go Chris's way in these last moments. But I remember when Tuga was in these kind of situations back in Atlanta, he knows when to switch things up. He turns the heat up at the right moments, but he's going to be more than happy, I think, at just 2-2 in the first leg.
Here's Messi then onto that left foot. Neymar now, 5-star weak foot. Doesn't matter, but what way you go!
Oh, wow.
But Chris chooses the right way with his goalkeeper movement there. Big save coming in from De Gea.
And I feel like goalkeeper movement is still so important. I feel like because of the meta and how we lost first-time finesse shots, etc. from outside the box, some people have got somewhat lazy with their goalkeeper movement where they feel they don't necessarily have to move it as much. So if you're still switched on and you're going to take those risks, you are going to be rewarded for those risks, providing you choose the right way and you're reading the game correctly.
Perfect example of it there from NYC Chris. The shot was hit well there by Tuga. Ball into the front post now. Ronaldo almost beat the goalkeeper to it. De Gea's kind of in no man's land here. And now he's given the ball away. Neymar with the shot. Referee will stop the play here. And it will be a free kick just outside the box. 78 minutes on the clock here. Tuga goes direct, but just shanks that one wide.
Yeah, that's different. That's not something I'm used to seeing. Hullet just blasting it wide, but maybe Tuga was trying something else. Maybe a mistake with his button combination there. Maybe he's just trying to step over that ball and just missed one of the buttons. Who knows? But that's a let-off for Chris, certainly.
Chris then, who's had some success by whipping that ball into the box and winning some headers towards the back post. Attacking the flanks once more. Ronaldo now to Hullet. This is good play here from Chris. Hullet finds a bit of space with R9. The heel-to-heel almost finds its way through the final defender before he could get that shot away. But that's a great ball in behind now from one end to the other. Pele, one-on-one with De Gea, takes a touch and finishes it. Tuga celebrates. And that's how quick things can turn around here. Chris at one end with a chance. Can't beat the defender. Tuga goes straight up the other end now. And with just 6 minutes left on the clock, Dan, is that the winning blow?
Certainly could be for the first leg, but still plenty to come in this tie. 4-4-2 though. We saw it in Atlanta from Tuga. We saw how maybe he's changing the meta one step at a time by himself. I think when people start to see how successful he manages to play with that 4-4-2 and how those wingers are just sprinting up the pitch and they offer those through balls on the right and left-hand side, maybe we might see more people start switching to it.
Ball in there from Chris. Looking to expose Marcelo's height there in that fullback position. Marcelo did well, though, to win that header. Now with just a few minutes left. Tuga, if he can find another goal here, will be very comfortable going into the second leg with a 2-goal lead. Waiting for the run here of Ronaldo. Good play again from Tuga now. Inside the box, Pele, lovely close dribbling from him. Pele, heel to heel, beats one man looking for the cricketer. And Chris survives here as we move into added time at the end of our first leg.
And I am surprised that Tuga didn't really keep the ball there. I thought maybe he'd keep possession and have the last attack of the game, but instead he gives Chris a chance to equalise here in the end of the first leg. Certainly always gets nervy towards the end of games.
Ronaldo trying to get round the outside of his man. I think that one has just dribbled out of play here for a goal kick, so that should be the last action of our first leg here. And there it is, the referee's whistle goes. And Tuga, the PS4 champion from Atlanta, goes into the second leg now with a 1-goal lead.
You know what really interests me? So Tuga won Atlanta on the PS4 side of things. Then he got to the cross-console final and he said, I have never touched an Xbox controller. I wonder if getting that far justified him to go home for that week that we've had or so since Atlanta.
Get himself an
Xbox and say, actually, I probably need to practice because I am good enough now to get to the stage where I might need to use it. And, of course, Tex took full advantage of that in the cross-console final by beating Tuga. Also, though, Tex won on the PS4, might I add. However, I mean, Tex did go back and he played in the E-Champions League qualifiers on PS4 and qualified, may I add, 12 out of 12. So these players are starting to get better at switching from console to console and changing their hands for the controllers.
I love the idea that Tuga just sort of looked at the Xbox controller, just sat in front of him, like, what is that? It's like, what am I meant to do with this? Where do my hands go? But, you know, he's going to have to get used to that if he is getting to these positions. He's getting to these finals, winning these console finals and getting to those cross-console finals. And it is still a big factor. I mean, you've seen Tex on Twitter. He's been saying a lot about, you know, I'm really struggling with the PS4 controller. It's hurting my hands and things like that. But he's having a lot of success on it as well. And he's obviously succeeding on both consoles at the moment. And the PS4 players are really turning up this year in FIFA 19. There's been some cross-console wins, which we hadn't seen before, which is obviously huge. Nicholas has put in some great performances. And the PlayStation guys, for me, have really stepped up this year. Yeah,
Nicholas, Stefano Pina, of course, being able to find victories in that cross-console. And you might be sitting at home and you're saying, oh, well, there's not really a difference between the controllers. Well, I mean, like, you don't really know until you have played for so long on one controller and then you have to move to the other. Tex did say that literally his little finger is slightly repositioned now after playing so much PlayStation over the weekend.
I have that when I go back from my PlayStation controller to my Xbox controller. It's just weird. It just doesn't feel right.
It's just how you hold it.
It's like if you play a couple of games, it's fine. Like everything's okay again. But because you kind of get that one game and you kind of perform in that cross-console final, it can be a deciding factor. But we are going into our second leg now. And it is a one-goal advantage here for Tuga with that goal towards the end of that first leg. But Chris has shown that he can score goals in that first leg, and I think he'll be feeling pretty confident going into this one.
The only thing for me in these games against Tuga, and every player I think is probably feeling the same, is no one's really found a way to counter his 4-4-2. We saw it at Atlanta as well. I mean, unless you're Tex and you just dominate the possession and you take Tuga completely out of the game, people were finding it difficult to actually have an answer for what Tuga has offered in these tournaments.
Mbappe wins the ball back for Chris there. Now, speaking to Boras, and he was actually impressed with the way that Tuga was using the formation defensively. Usually we think of 4-4-2 as quite a defensive formation with the two strikers and those two wide players getting up, but he was saying that he has those two wingers on set to drop back.
It almost works as like two defensive walls. I say it's a little bit like gladiators when you're running the gauntlet. You get this 4 players who sit on the halfway line. You have to get past them, and then you have to get past the second set of 4 players of the back 4. And it can be so difficult, as that was very close to being a mistake there from Tuga.
Yeah, speaking of difficult, that would have been pretty difficult to watch there for Tuga. Had he just thrown a goal away and thrown his lead away. But alas, he stays alive. And now he's on the attack with Mbappe. Tries to get around the outside with the cricketer, but gets forced wide there. Will be a goal kick now to Chris.
I'm just surprised I'm not seeing a Portuguese flag being flown in the crowd like I did constantly through Atlanta. I believe Tuga's mother came out, and I think she might be here in Singapore as well. Fantastic support. Always great to see parents and friends, family come out and support players, because sometimes you do need it. You need that little bit of extra hope, extra little bit of love and support. It does help you through it.
Here comes Tuga then. R9 goes on his left foot. Goalkeeper movement again from Chris, just cutting off that near post angle. Now the corner taken short. Neymar to the edge of the box. Ramos maybe with a chance to hit it himself. Varane now to Mbappe. No surprise to see this ball being recycled here by Tuga. Varane and Ramos, not the two players you'd probably pick out of the 11 to be let him fly with, should we say.
And that is always the problem with playing it back like that in a corner, is you do kind of just like kill the situation yourself, you kill the chance yourself, but you keep possession, and that is what Tuga cares about. He cares about keeping possession and restricting the play from Chris. Ultimately, if he stops Chris from having attacks, he is going to win the game here. So he's just depriving Chris of that possession and kind of just frustrating him here.
Vieira then, maybe the chance here, almost found the ball through. That killer ball to R9, but another corner here for Tuga. And Chris really on the back foot here. Ramos. Dan's jumping out of his seat, telling him to hit it.
Just hit it! Ramos has a great strike on him in the right scenarios.
Taken short again here by Tuga.
Oh, I love
Great
that.
ball into the front post, set up towards the back post. Chris really hanging on here. All of the pressure coming in from Tuga, but somehow Chris survives.
The old dipsy doodle from Tuga as well. A little bit of repetition, saying I'm just going to pass this one out to the edge of the box again and again. And then just as Chris expects it, he switches things up and almost is rewarded with a chance on goal because of it. Good stuff from Tuga.
Now, wouldn't this be classic FIFA after all the pressure that Tuga has for Chris to go straight up the other end and find a goal himself? But Tuga switched on defensively here.
If we're talking classic FIFA, which FIFA you think about? Like, because if I think of classic FIFA, I think FIFA 98. That's classic for me.
I don't want to show my age. Anyway, Mbappe round the corner. To Ruud Gullit, almost finds the ball back. FIFA 94, by the way.
I thought
Vieira into Gullit. Chance here for R9. Gets it onto his left foot. Oh, tried to squeeze the ball back into Gullit, I believe. I don't think that was a shot. Chris has really been hanging on in this game. It's been a hot start here from Tuga, but sometimes it's just about riding that wave. But now, Dan, you're pointing out to me that the defensive walls are up.
I mean, just the front four players are like a defensive line, which means it's so difficult for Chris to get outside of his own half. And then he just gets hit on the counter-attack straight away.
Mbappe, then that's a fantastic ball out wide to Gullit. Gullit with the heel-to-heel back across goal. Just couldn't find that killer pass. And you have to say, Tuga at the moment is just bossing this second leg.
He's bossing it, but he's only got that goal lead. He needs to get that two-goal cushion, the two-gut cushion, to try and secure this one, to try and put it out
what
of
a ball
reach.
that is. Can he take advantage here? Mbappe, though, to the heavy touch. Just showed too much of that to De Gea, and he gleefully came out and smothered it.
Every time that these chances are saved, Chris knows that he's still in the game. He's very calm. He's one of these players that he doesn't show much emotion. He isn't going to let it show to his opponents when he's struggling or when he's frustrated. He keeps the same kind of expression throughout every single game.
Here is a chance there for Chris. What a save that was from De Gea. Full length, full extension to get the hand on that one. And Tuga, for all of the possession and all of the chances he's had to rely on his goalkeeper there to pull off a save.
And I think that is what is going to be in the back of his mind as well, Mark. It's just that scary factor of, well, what if one of Chris's chances go in on the counter-attack? Suddenly, all my hard work, my 60% of possession suddenly gets thrown out of the window, and I'm back to square one. But these are the kind of games that he did grind out in Atlanta. When he had that goal lead, he defends ever so well with this 4-4-2. And he's doing more the same here in Singapore. I mean, how incredible would it be? Before Atlanta, he was at the semi-final, and then he gets to the cross-console final in Atlanta, and then if he was able to do it again here, he really would be up there with the best PS4 players in the world.
It's always going to be looking to go one step further, and with into added time here, and there might be another opportunity before the whistle goes. Mbappe, a couple of step overs here. Mbappe gets back to defend, and there is the halftime whistle. Still one goal separates these two players as we head into the second half of our second leg here in Singapore. Round of 16, of course, if you're just joining us. Quarter-final spot on the line for these players. And it has been a long day for them, getting through the Swiss format. And then this knockout game at the end of the day. They really would have earned those spots in the quarterfinals.
And I'd really like to see a formation change, I think, soon from Chris. Maybe this just goal difference, this one goal difference, is maybe a bad thing for Chris because he thinks that he's still in it. He does have that chance. He has had opportunities to equalize. However, I just think Tuga is running the show. But maybe I'll eat my words with this attack now from Chris.
Pull it now and look at the run inside there, and he does find him. Eusebio, the first shot of the game, really, for Chris. And the light shines on Eusebio. 3-3. And Tuga, that's got to hurt. The first opportunity for Chris in the second leg, and Eusebio finds the near post.
Sorry, I was busy eating my words. There we go. I mean, and resilience and sticking to what you know can work out in certain situations, and I will give Chris so much credit for that. even though it looked like he had nothing really in the first half and he was behind and he was on the back foot for the majority. He stuck to his guns and he's been rewarded for it.
Here's Mbappe then, just a reminder that is the game only really tied up though on aggregate for all that we're celebrating Chris's goal there for him to get back into the game. He won't go through here unless he scores another one to take the lead, and now you can see maybe he's getting a little bit more confident, starting to grow into the game a little bit. Amazing what a goal can do. And not only for the mentality of Chris, but also for the mentality of the man he just scored against, Tuga.
If you can get Tuga out of your comfort zone, I think you're going to be in a really good spot. If you can stop him from playing this kind of defensive formation with the 4-4-2, stop him sticking players behind the ball, then you'll be feeling really good. But when Tuga's flowing well, and when he's attacking graciously and he's using his skill moves on the wings, he is a very difficult player to go up against. And that's always the terrifying thing when you're having to face someone like Tuga. It's what they're going to pull out of their back pocket next.
Well, here comes Tuga then, looking to restore his lead now after Chris stole that goal away. Half an hour left in this game, and it has been a tight game. For all of the possession dominance that Tuga has had, not too many chances to write home about.
Yeah, maybe a few corners that could have had a couple of chances from if he had just kind of drifted them into the box and hoped for a header here or there. Instead, he played the slow game, he played the possession game, he played the depriving his opponent of possession game. But after all of that, we're all tied up again. So maybe Tuga might be able to take things away from this game as well, of trying to seize the moment when it's presented in front of him.
Mbappe then, inside now to CR7, back out to Mbappe, danger here for Chris. Tuga looking to strike. Cristiano Ronaldo with more space inside the box. Criqueta finds the ball back to Ronaldo, big chance, and he takes it! First time we've really seen Tuga open up Chris in this game. And he restores his lead here, and now he's just 23 minutes away from booking himself a place into the quarterfinals.
I say Chris is one of these players that doesn't really demonstrate much in terms of how he's feeling, but you can see from his body language now, he had to work so hard to get back into this tie, to get that equaliser. And you can see behind him as well, just a clap of the hands to say, come on, mate, get back into it, don't drop your head yet. Chris has been in these situations so many times this season where he's just fallen short. And he is going to have to dig so deep. He is going to be tired. Jet lag is a thing. God knows what time it is back in America. I mean, like, what, a 13-hour difference? Up to 16, depending on where you are in the States.
Well, if you are a Chris fan and you're in the chat at the moment and you're watching this and you're hoping that your boy is going to perform, send him your energy, because he's going to need it right now. 23 minutes left for him to find a goal to send this to extra time. Tuga, though, what an impressive player we have found here in FIFA 19. Another fantastic player on the PlayStation. Now Chris, from the restart, almost finds his way through, but again, the pressure from Tuga. He's so good at reading the passing plays, and he's so good at closing down that space. It's just so tough to break him down.
And that's the thing, even though it's the 72nd minute and Chris is still a goal down, it's Tuga who's got the possession, it's him that's pushing forward.
What a move this is from Messi. Almost managed to find himself a pocket of space to get a strike away, but that was an example of what Tuga does best, those flowing passing plays, the quick movement. And now Chris may be looking to find a ball into the box. Closing down the space himself.
Ooh, look at the quick passes, though, from Tuga. Like, he's under the cosh there a bit. Blue shirts everywhere, but
the
quick
space
passes.
Here for Messi, though. This could be it. Big chance for Tuga. Can he take it? Of course he can. Waits for the movement, and look at the celebration from him. He knows how important that goal is.
And the forehead hits the table for Chris, as he knows now it is going to be near impossible to get back into this one. With the way that Tuga's been defending, with how he's controlled the game, That surely kills off this tie. Surely puts Tuga through to the quarterfinals and unfortunately sends Chris home.
The picture says 1,000 words sometimes, and you can see the reaction from both players. Ecstasy on one side of things and just heartache on the other. Chris has to find himself very quickly here, regain composure. He's got 10 minutes left here. But he needs to pull off something special to beat a very special player in Tuga. Ronaldo then, CR7. Chris gets the ball back here. If he can find a goal, there might be an opportunity for him to get back into this. Space down the left-hand side now with Ronaldo. Whips it into the box. Eusebio gets there. Goalkeeper movement from Tuga.
And Chris just resorted to now banging his head on the table. Frustration has well and truly kicked in. That was the chance. That was his way of having any hope, I feel, because Tuga now...
frustration creeping in a bit more.
He's just going to keep possession, isn't he, Mark? He's going to control the end of this game. He's going to close this one out professionally. I may have asked questions a few events ago and said, oh, well, will Tuga know what to do in these kind of situations? Well, yeah, he's been here before. Current PS4 champion. And he is going to be the man to beat, I feel, on the PS4 side of things. And there's certainly players who are going to want to take him down. Joksan now back in the fray of the action.
Performing incredibly well as well on his return. Well, one man I think is going to be a name to beat today is going to beat Tuga.
And of course, it's not only Joksan. Stefano Pino will want to make up for his somewhat disappointing tournament in Atlanta. PS4, as you mentioned earlier, really is heating up.
You do have to feel for Chris, though. It's not the first time we've seen him in this situation, and it really is difficult to keep picking yourself up and dusting yourself down tournament after tournament.
I mean, ultimately, he's 10th in the Global Series rankings. He's reached the last 16 again. He is going to be getting closer to those to the E-Club World Cup. Sorry, the E-World Cup finals as salt rubbing the wounds. Chris had put his controller pad down anyway, but of course, Tuga is going to take full opportunity there. It's not be-all and end-all for Chris.
No.
This is not the last we're going to see of him. But he personally, I know, he just wants to get that little bit further in these tournaments because he is capable of doing it.
This game is going to be done and dusted, and a huge congratulations